What is up, and welcome back to Talk Nutrition. Today we are joined by our lovely coach, Lynn. What's up, Lynn? How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good.
I'm
So
happy
Lynn and
to be
I,
back on the podcast.
yeah, 100%. I was just going to say, Lynn and I did a few podcasts, two so far, and it's always kind of been about your journey, right? So the first one
Yeah.
was when you were my client still, I think,
Yep.
or right after that, to where that was all about your journey. Then last time we talked, it was about that journey, then getting into coaching. Now we just wanted to do,
Yeah.
stuff that we address with our clients. Bit of a nutrition Q&A. We got 6 questions for you guys today. And we just wanted to give you our perspective on some of these things. So we're going to talk about cardio or weights, which is better, right? Things to keep in mind for calorie deficit, how often should you diet, pre-workout meals, a whole bunch of stuff. Also a question about what we do as coaches with our own nutrition and goals. So I just wanted to kind of go through a couple questions and give both of our perspectives, because I think we're going to agree on a lot of things. But I think it's also good, as you just said before we record, to get a, perspective from both like a male and a female, and in terms of goals and things that we see with our clients, right?
Yes.
So yeah, let's dive in. We'll do this more also. So to our listener too, if you are not a member yet, you can jump in our free Facebook group, and then you can ask us any questions, and then we might just address them on this podcast. So that being said, first question, Lynn. If you're going into a calorie deficit, how many times should you do that during 1 year?
So what I think is really important to keep in mind here is that a lot of people are chronically dieting all the time, which basically ends up with not getting a lot of good results. So what you can do instead is having a long-term perspective, and sort of divide your year up in different phases. Because if you have a lot of good phases with maintenance, like giving your body enough nutrition, enough fuel, you're going to be in a much better spot to do a calorie deficit. And usually what we recommend to our clients is not doing more than 12 weeks before we start reversing back to maintenance again. And that's probably going to give you better results. Like if you have an entire year and you do, let's say you do maintenance, short time with calorie deficit for 3 months, back to maintenance, maybe even muscle gain, and then back to calorie deficit again at the end of the year, you're probably going to get much better results than just chronically dieting the entire year.
100%. I think that's, so there's definitely a difference between, and we get both of these types of people, but there is a difference between chronically dieting and then always trying to diet. And those two different types of people are going to have a different journey, right? To where if you're actually chronically dieting, we have to spend time at maintenance. We absolutely need to get your calories back up, right? Eat enough, nourish, make sure your metabolism is actually going to work for you, not against you. That's different than trying all the diets and then binging every now and then, or basically weekly, and going back to maintenance technically. Or even gaining weight. So there's a difference there for sure. But either way, you want to have lots of time at maintenance, do a couple cuts, right? I think for most people, maybe 2. If you do shorter ones, you could maybe do a third one, but I just want to plant the seed in people's minds moving into 2025. If you think you're going to chase fat loss all year, no, absolutely not. If you want to do this right, let's do 1 or 2. If you're trying to lose 5 kilos or something, that's one phase. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's one. To where then, if you want to go into muscle gain and do a shortcut afterwards, that could work. If you want to lose, 10 kilos, that could even be done in one phase. 15, 20, you're looking at 2 phases for sure. More, it could be longer.
Yeah. I also think we both have had experience with this with our clients. You don't really pay enough attention to your nutrition or your protein intake. And you have been sort of, like you said, either chronically dieting or jumping on some diet trend and then jumping back off and then binging, and then your weight goes up. You've been sort of maybe all over the place. And then when you come into us and you do coaching, and the first thing we do is sort of optimize your routines and take you through that maintenance phase of like 4 to 8 weeks, you actually start dropping centimeters and body weight even in a maintenance phase, because you are optimizing, you are giving your body enough protein. It's more like in a good balance, in a good place. It's getting the fuel it needs to do all the stuff that you are doing in your everyday life. And a lot of people just respond really well to that first maintenance phase, where you're actually giving your body enough food.
100%. It's such a cool period. I think a lot of times in the beginning, people who come into it with like a fat loss goal, right, are sometimes hesitant. But then it's like once you start to see the results, and now we're having good workouts, we're actually building some muscle, we actually feel good for once. Energy, right? Sleep tends to improve sometimes. Digestion, we're just eating healthier in general. Like, it's such an important thing to do. And the hard part is that you'll only notice and realize that once you have been going through them, let's say the first 4+ weeks, right? Once you actually start to feel that, But yeah, long story short, do not try to cut all year. Maybe do it once or twice, maybe 3 times, but we'll get more into muscle gain too in a sec. So next question. If you only check for one macro and calories, is it better to keep track of protein, fats, or carbs?
From my female coaching perspective, it would definitely be protein. What I see in a lot of clients is it's just too low. And especially a lot of the female clients are struggling a lot with cravings. So by the end of the day, you just want to sort of go head into that bowl of chocolate and eat like everything in sight. And usually what happens is we sort of put the calories in a good spot, but we bring protein up. And once they are able to sort of get that protein up nice and high, the cravings just vanish. And also it's really, really important for lean body mass, so muscle mass. And that is a thing that not a lot of people are aware of, that from the age of 30 we start losing muscle mass. So getting enough protein in is very important. I'm not sure if you agree, if you have a different macro you would track.
Yeah, no, like definitely. It's become protein is always the one, it's always that one. People have no issues getting the carbs and fats in. Like, that's not the problem.
No. No.
But it's like, that's the one. Like you said, it's going to become more and more important. And here's the thing too. So if someone were to join today, and even if they are at maintenance already, let's imagine, right? And you're under eating protein, I don't have a crystal ball, but I can pretty much guarantee you that if we keep your calories the exact same and we bring protein up, and maybe we work on food quality, but we just bring that protein up, you will lose more fat, you will build more muscle on the same amount of calories. Like, that high protein diet every single time is going to lead to better results. Every single time.
You feel better.
Yeah.
Less craving, like it feels better when you're getting enough protein in.
Yeah, 100%. We need that protein. Like, it's more difficult to break it down for the body, which is one of the reasons why it's going to keep you full, right? You need it to build muscle. And I think I feel like people are catching on now, finally, slowly but surely. But like, it's not just about losing weight, you know what I mean? It's about like so many other things. Regulating your hunger satiety, building muscle, maintaining muscle. And we actually have a question about muscle and, basically training cardio, or at least we want to spin that into like a muscle conversation. But like, it is so important to think about muscle even more as we age. And like I said, people are catching on. People are more willing to get into muscle gain phases, but it's so key. And protein is going to be one of those too. So to go back to that question, like answering which one would be important to keep track of, because they're asking if it's one macro with calories. I mean, definitely your calories number one, and then your protein. But then ideally, once you're more familiar with tracking, I'm going to say macros, to where we kind of don't worry about calories because they come from your macros. But we focus on protein, carbs, and fats. We give you ranges, and that just allows us to also keep that carb and fat ratio in mind. Because as much as, based on research, it doesn't matter for weight loss, it does matter for performance and recovery and muscle, and so we could still be like super high fat, and you're going to lose body fat, and it's okay, right? But I would argue that we're going to have better workouts, we're going to keep muscle better, when we also keep those carbs in. Plus, it's going to include fruits, vegetables, and stuff too.
Yeah,
which,
and you can be
again,
more
really
like
important.
If you have like a sort of baseline for your macros, like you do well most days, you can be more flexible with like fat or carbs if your calories and protein are in check. So it doesn't have to be spot on every single day, but like realizing how to create a plate that has a good amount of protein, fat, and carbs is going to be really beneficial for how you eat long term.
Yeah. And that being said, let's actually get into that next question, because that's how we lined this up. So the question was, cardio or weights, which is better? I think, yes, absolutely, both. That's the answer, both. Move on. No, like, I love this question. It comes up all the time. You know what I mean? Yeah. We work with anyone from, and we will work with any age, but like, I'd say most of our clients currently are between the ages of, let's say, 30 plus through 50, 60 plus, you know? And especially with our, I don't want to say old, but like, you know, older clients, let's say, relatively speaking, we're going to see a lot of people come to us having done all the diets, but also having done all the cardio. And then we're still kind of stuck in that, hey, I got to do the cardio to lose weight, etc. Yeah. But what do you think in terms of, you know, cardio, weights, and what you see with your clients?
I think there is this old belief that if you sort of do a lot of cardio and you're sweating a lot and you're sort of doing those workouts where you're sort of crawling out, then it's sort of burning more fat, almost like you think the sweat is the fat leaving your body, which is not the case. So a lot of people put out too much effort into cardio. The problem with cardio is that the more you do cardio, the better you're going to be at it. Like you're actually going to use energy more efficient in your cardio sessions. So the more you do cardio, the more you have to do to get sort of that same output. So I want to like switch it to think more about body composition. So what you do is you lift weights, heavy weights with progressive overload to make sure that you pack on that lean body mass, aka muscle. And then you can do cardio on this sort of on the side if you enjoy it, because a lot of people do enjoy cardio. It gives you a lot of endorphins. It feels pretty good, but you don't have to be running 6 times a week to lose weight. So focus on a strength training program, and then you can add on some cardio if you want to, because it is really good for your heart to do cardio. So if you want to live a long life, you should be doing cardio. But if you want some quality into that life, like be able to get yourself off the couch when you're 70, you need to be lifting weights as well. So what you can do, let's say you have time to train 4 times a week, you can do 3 full body sessions and 1 cardio session, and you're set basically.
Yeah, I like that. I do. So obviously there's different things that different people enjoy, right? We work with a couple of runners, and you know, some people are really into that, and that's cool. And that's just a conversation of our main goals and priorities. Maybe taking a seasonal approach to nutrition and training, thinking, okay, because the question is cardio, weights, which is better? I mean, for what? You know, it depends.
Depends.
But like knowing that this question likely comes from a place where, I mean, what we see with our clients, it's like, well, a lot of people come to us for body composition goals, to lose weight, to get to a healthier place. The cool thing that I think is that during that transformation, that journey, that fat loss phase first, we're also going to notice bigger changes in terms of muscle, and people are also more inclined to get into something like muscle gain afterwards, which I love because it's super important long term. But again, we got to think goals, priorities, what's important right now, and then also, can we make certain trade-offs? Because if fat loss is the number one goal right now, okay, let's again mostly go with strength training, bit of cardio, not for the weight loss reasons, but for the muscle maintenance reasons, or even muscle gain, which is very likely. I built a lot of muscle in my last cut last year, which was unexpected. But, and I've talked about this in a recent podcast, but like it can still happen, you know what I mean? It's just not the main goal.
Yeah.
Let's go for that, bit of cardio. And of course, it's gonna it will help. You know, if you do increase your cardio, it will allow for slightly faster weight loss, but we just don't want to push it too far because people have jobs, kids, school, etc. You only have so much time in your day. And like you said, if you become more efficient at cardio, you got to do more and more of it. So it's like, you know, at some point, like we need to manage life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But let's say someone really likes running. Okay, cool. Like, is that your priority right now? Okay, perfect. Then once we've done all the fat loss stuff, let's go into maybe your running season, where now your weight training is going to go down a little bit. We're going to prioritize that. But then I would also still argue that, hey, afterwards, it's going to be healthy for you to then maybe go into a muscle period. We're also training different energy systems where we are putting on that lean mass that we do need for health reasons, for longevity. Lifting weights is going to, you know, increase bone density as well. It's so important for you. So I think we do need to step away from either or, right? Cardio or weights. Like, let's do both in the right ratio. Yeah, balance. And also remembering what the main goal is there. Because we do not exercise to lose weight. It helps a bit. You don't burn that many calories anyway, but right? There's different reasons for that. You can become better, you become healthier, stronger, etc.
I was just gonna say that people put too much into or depend too much on the training when trying to lose weight or body fat. They think that if I just train more, I will get better results, and it's just not how it works. Like you said, you don't actually spend that much energy on your training session. So it's so much better to regulate your food intake and your daily activity, measured in steps basically. And then you go to the gym to get stronger, to get better, to get healthier, to get faster. You should not be training to lose weight, or you shouldn't like be tracking how many calories you burn. By the way, if you do that, your watch is almost 100% wrong anyway, so just don't look at that. But we go to the gym for other reasons, and then we regulate our weight loss journey through food and daily activity. And that's also why, like Johan mentioned, with the balance, you could run every day and lift weights in addition, but you would most likely not be able to recover from that very well, and you will probably not feel very well. It will affect your sleep and other parts of your life. So you do not need to be training 6 times a week to get good results. No.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, for some people, it might even be doing less and then seeing better results because now they're recovering better.
Yes. So the body can actually do what it's supposed to be doing after a training session.
Yeah. So let's get into the next question, actually move things around a little bit because we kind of touched on this already now. But the next question is, what are the main things to focus on in a calorie deficit? I mean, you just named most of the main ones. Definitely, like you said, nutrition, like that's number one. Specifically speaking, your calories, your protein, ideally macros, but let's say calories and protein. Steps, because that is how you regulate your daily movement. Go for like a 10K. If you can do 12, that'd be awesome. Keep lifting weights to maintain muscle, a little bit of cardio. I think some of the... Okay, so let me put it this way. If you do that and you eat just about like 90% of your calories from whole foods, like you're good. Like that's all you need to worry about for the most part. I'm going to add 2 more, and that's sleep hygiene and stress management. And this is the stuff that people don't want to hear, right? Because we're too busy, we're too stressed, and you know, all these kind of things, and I get it. I mean, we have a lot of shit to do as well, you know. Sometimes we don't even feel like we have enough time to get enough sleep in, but here's the thing. You might be completely dialed with your training, with your nutrition. If you're sleeping like 5 hours a night, like you're going to build less muscle, you're going to lose more muscle, you're going to lose less body fat, your hunger and satiety hormones are going to be completely out of whack, your energy sucks, self-control, planning,
your mood,
self-regulation, like all those kind of things, right? Decision making, like all that stuff is impacted. So that's why sleep is such an important one. I mean, it's a difficult one, of course, but there's still things that we can do to optimize a sleep environment. And in a similar way, stress as well, right? The body needs to recover We need to spend time in that rest and digest enough so the body can actually heal and recover. You know what I mean?
I actually read this interesting thing. I can't remember the name of it, but it's about how us grown-ups, we sort of don't want to go to bed because we're trying to take back control of our very hectic life. And that time spent on the couch in the evening, like scrolling or watching Netflix instead of going to bed, gives us a sense of taking back control of our everyday life, because a lot of us, like you said, have very hectic life. We don't feel in control of everything that is happening, so we're sort of being spiteful by staying up and scrolling instead of going to bed. But like Johan mentioned, you are going to feel, am I allowed to say shit on the podcast? You're going to feel like shit during your calorie deficit if you are constantly getting 5 hours of sleep. Hope I'm not getting like beep. Sleep is really important.
Yeah. You can swear on a podcast, by the way. Like I do it all the time. I don't know if it impacts. I think officially I have to like mark the thing where it says like explicit, content, whatever it is. But I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, no, but it's so key. And I don't. So obviously, people are busy. People are stressed. I get it. 100%. Like that's the main thing we talk about, other than nutrition stuff. So like, let me put it this way. Once nutrition is dialed in, and we've talked about training and all those kind of things, I mean, most of what we do in check-ins is like, hey, we're talking about those kind of things, right? Shit happens, right? We end up in stressful situations. I mean, right now it's Monday, check-in day. Like, I just had a few conversations. Like, people go through real ups and downs. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the majority of like, the things that we have to discuss on a weekly basis sometimes, and it's also nice when nutrition is dialed, because now we can say, okay, what's maybe something we can do to get like 15-30 minutes extra sleep-wise. And also remember that you and me worked on this when we were coaching, right? Just focusing on sleep.
That's also the thing about stress management. I've talked to a lot of people who's been like, I also want to have like this perfect life where everything is going well all the time. And I'm trying to explain to them that like when you do this lifestyle change and you focus more on sleep, stress management, your nutrition, all the things that is going to make you better and more resilient and just healthier, it's not that you have all of the sudden a perfect life with no bad days or like period of times in your life where things are not going that well. It's more about that you are better at handling those days. So the days, the shitty days, I'm swearing so much. The shitty days are still coming, but you are able to handle those days in a totally different way than when you are sleep deprived and you are not eating enough food and you haven't been to the gym in like 6 months and you're basically just not in a good place. It's going to be two different people handling the exact same situations. So there's not less bad days. You are just sort of tackling that day very differently when you are taking care of yourself.
100%. And you get better at dealing with the stuff that comes up. You get better at troubleshooting. Hey, okay, so usually when I was stressed, I would binge eat. Okay, hey, now it's happening less frequently. Hey, okay, now, year down the road, it's barely happening. I learn how to, respond rationally instead of emotionally to those things happening. We also become, just how you get better with training and stuff, or even in a way to where what you just said about cardio, we're very good at, like, the body adapts, right? We adapt to stress as well in that way. So I do want to mention this too, because we talk a lot about stress management. Stress isn't inherently bad. It's bad when it's chronic and when it's too much for too long. Stress is actually the thing that pushes you to become better and more resilient. So if anything, we can give that a positive twist, you know what I mean? And acknowledge too sometimes, hey, when I feel stressed or overwhelmed, whatever it is, that means that I now have an opportunity to become better at dealing with that. And I want to know, or I want people to know as well, that you're not going to do that from one day to the next. It's not going to just be fixed in one day, but over time you become better with that. And that's, to your point, like that's what it's about. It's you learn how to deal with it better. We become more resilient to more stress. That's what it's about.
I always say that when you get physically stronger, you also get mentally stronger.
Also, I mean, that's,
yeah,
100%. That's even one of the reasons why we should train,
Yeah.
It's not always
Confident.
fun. Yeah.
Nope.
And this is something I loved when we did the last podcast. I think this was the last one. I think you said something in the sense of, it's not even necessarily the things that you do.
I think I know what you mean.
I was going to butcher it, but now I got it. It's not like reaching. It's not that reaching that goal is going to make you happy, but it's the things that you do. Yeah, yes. It's not about losing weight. It's all the things that you do, and it's setting that goal and proving yourself that you can do it. And it's doing all those things that are good for you, to make you feel physically, mentally better. Like that's what actually makes you happy.
Yeah.
Almost butchered it, but I did.
I remember I was coaching with you, and I wanted to lose like 10. Yeah. I wanted to lose like 10 kilos when I was working with Johan, and I already, like, after 5 kilos we were doing that podcast, and I was getting so many comments. I was like, glowing, you look so happy, what happened to you, you changed your personality. And it was all the things that I was doing to try to lose those 10 kilos, which Johan mentioned now, like eating enough protein, eating enough whole foods, sleeping, stress management, steps, training, etc. All those things. Like, I was in the place I wanted to be mentally long before I was in the place I wanted to be with my weight loss goal, because all of these things made me stronger, more resilient. It built my confidence. I felt like I sort of could do anything. So yeah, go to 100%.
The gym. Go to get to the gym. So we got one more question, so we're gonna skip one and we'll do that the next time. We're gonna get into how do we, as the coaches, right, structure our nutrition and goals for the year. So let's start with you, because you've been maintaining for a while, right?
I have, because I did last year. I did a weight gaining phase, or a muscle gaining phase, actually with you in the beginning, and then I did it on my own. And then in the beginning of this year, 2024, I was supposed to go into a deficit, because when you gain weight, you do gain a little bit of body fat as well. But I've had like the craziest year of my life with a full-time job, studying, and when I was done studying, I started working. So I have like 3 jobs going on right now. So it just wasn't the right time. I needed fuel in to be able to perform in all the areas I was supposed to perform in. So right now, I'm actually doing a mini cut right now, only like 8 weeks. The fun thing is, I'm still as confident and happy as I was, before, because when you get confident, you don't really care how much you weigh, as long as you're feeling good and doing good and performing. But I'm gonna do a mini cut now for 8 weeks, because nobody wants to be dieting over Christmas. And then I'm gonna go back to maintenance before Christmas and just train well and stay at maintenance. And then I might do a mini cut again in the spring sometime, and then I just want to go back to maintenance again and chill. So I'm in a chilling phase in my life.
Yeah,
I just want to perform.
Great.
Yeah,
100%. And it even goes into the seasonality of nutrition and training and stuff that we just talked about. It's like, there's going to be I want people to notice, understand, like, we talk about fat loss and stuff all the time, but like, understand that there's going to be seasons in life where you might just have to maintain and chill and just be healthy and just even not being in the dieting mindset is going to be healthy for you. Not focusing on that skill going down. But like, as much as I do think, so also don't want this to be a thing where people will now use it as a reason to not work towards their goals because they're too busy, because that's bullshit. You're always going to be busy. You're always going to be stressed. You'll just become better at dealing with it, like we said. Yeah. But there will be seasons, obviously, where it may or may not be optimal, to go into those phases. And this is where working with a coach can help, because then we can help you plan for that and make sense of that whole plan. You know what I mean?
With that said as well, it's not like I have less to do now than I did for the past year. It's more like everything is not new to me anymore. I'm like sort of more in control of everything that's going on. So I still have as much to do, but I'm sort of doing it with lower shoulders, which is why I chose to do the deficit now. So I'm not either like throwing my goals out the window because I'm too busy. It's more about like we talked about, the long-term planning. This phase right now is not the best time, but there is a phase, you know, during the autumn where it makes more sense for me to do a deficit. So if it's not the right time, don't give up or say, I'm not going to do this. Just plan better, basically. Make a better plan that is going to work with you instead of against you.
100%. And that being said, because by the time this airs, so we did just announce the ODYSSEY waitlist. So in January, we're going to kick off our first cohort for the ODYSSEY 12-week, group coaching program. Right now, you can still get on the waitlist. You can still get a big discount, as well as an individual coaching call and more bonuses just for being on that waitlist. It's a big discount, and we're not going to do that once the waitlist goes down. So that's through November 14th. I'm going to take everything down at 10 in the evening that day. But that being said, right now is November. We have 2 more months left, let's say. The ODYSSEY starts on January 6th. It also means that in that period of those 2 months, right, you're going to still be able to build habits, to already do a bit of pre-work. And if you do join the waitlist and you actually join, it's like, I'm going to help you there. I'm going to give you specific steps to follow so that you can already get started. Because that's another thing too. Like, this might not be the season in that case. Let's say you join the ODYSSEY and you're like, okay, I'm going to make a change. And we start on January 6th. Don't use these 2 months to then just not do anything. Like, give yourself a head start. You know what I mean? Build those habits. Yep. That could literally just be a season for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So obviously we're going to be tracking and those kind of things, but like, and this is generally speaking, whether you join the ODYSSEY or not, it's like, there's going to be phases where we're not just even going to worry about weight loss or muscle or whatever it is. We're just going to be building habits,
Yeah.
And if that's, timing wise is better for you, just do that. If you don't eat enough protein, spend too much eating more protein or 2 months.
Yeah.
If you don't drink enough water, like, spend 2 months drinking more water and getting more steps in, whatever it may be for you. You know what I mean? There's so much you can still do with small steps and just focusing on habits.
I think too many people are sort of waiting for that new year. And I mean, we shouldn't sort of undersell the effect of new beginnings. It is actually psychologically like a really good drive. But what happens if you decide to wait until the new year's is that you're sort of gonna do all the bad things now because it's not allowed anymore in the new year, and you just end up in like an even a worse place then than you are now. Instead, you can sort of do the little things. If you know that, okay, getting to the gym is gonna be my biggest problem in January, start now with like 2 sessions a week. If you do 2 sessions a week every week from now until the new year, you are gonna already be ahead when it comes to your lifestyle change in the new year. It's gonna make it that much easier for you to actually get through it. Yeah. Like you said, drink water, get protein up, whatever you need to work on, start with something. Yeah, so get ahead.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, check this out too. So how many steps are you currently hitting on average?
Because I drowned my watch in grease, but usually I'm around 8 to 10. Yeah.
Now let's go back in time a little. When we started coaching, how many were you hitting then? And how hard of a time did you have to get more in?
I think I was around 4, and I think you challenged me to like get it up to 6 or 7, and I was like heading out the door in the evening, going on like power walks, trying to get my steps in. But somewhere along the road, because I was more mindful of my steps, I was suddenly hitting 10,000 without even thinking about it, because I'm just more active now. Oh. So yeah, I think it was around 4,000, and I started working towards 6, then 7, and then now
I mean, you still work a desk job.
Not a problem.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like we both work desk jobs. It's like
desk jobs.
Yeah. It's like it does become more difficult. It objectively does become more difficult when you have a desk job. But what we're trying to say is like, what feels difficult in the beginning just becomes second nature to where you're not even thinking about it anymore. And that's the whole goal of the habit building part. You know what I mean? And even when people join the ODYSSEY, it's like a 12-week thing where we're going to teach you everything. Like, it's going to take longer to build certain habits. It's going to take longer to reach your goals. But it's like the time you spend now actually building habits and getting some momentum. And like I said, those who join the wait list and actually sign up, like, I'm going to help you exactly figure out what to do. But like, not only will you give yourself a head start, you'll be way ahead, because otherwise, if you don't do anything, you don't just stay in the same place. You actually are taking steps backwards. Because if we have a certain goal and we're currently unsure how to reach that, we're likely looking at current habits that may not be conducive to our long-term health and our goals. The more we stay there, the harder it gets to change it. The more weight we may even gain, right? And even with those basics, the last point here, even with those basics, I would even say you're going to get through the holidays way better, even without looking at calories and all that stuff, right? Now, to go back to that question real quick, for me, my goals in nutrition, I did break this down quite a bit into detail, I think last 2 weeks ago maybe. But either way, for me, rest of the year is gaining, mini cut January, and I'm just going to chill for then. I think that's how far I am.
Chilling.
Yeah, you know, like I'm happy where I'm at currently. Just want to build a little bit for the rest of the year, do a mini cut, and I'm just going to maintain for a long time.
Yeah, and that's okay, people. You don't have to have like this big crazy goals. Stay healthy. That's fine.
Yeah, because last point. I could keep going, but like last point, because no, like there's so much information online. People are also talking, well, any time in a deficit is time wasted not building muscle. Yeah, I get that, right? When you're not cutting, you should be bulking. I get that, but we work with, like, let's call it lifestyle clients. We work with, in quotes, normal people like ourselves. We're not trying to always build muscle, always cut body fat, always, you know what I mean? Like, that's more like bodybuilding stuff.
Not bodybuilders.
Exactly. I mean, we train like that, or at least I train like that. But here's the thing, like, objectively, would that lead to most muscle gain and most fat loss down the road? Sure. But for the vast majority of people, you can just maintain and be very happy, reach a great body composition, build muscle at maintenance, you know what I mean? And I would even say that for most people, it's probably going to be better because you don't have to bulk. I like doing a lean gaining phase. I like teaching people how to do it. And again, I objectively do think that it's going to be beneficial for you to at least do it a couple times. It doesn't have to be like crazy long, but understand that maintenance phases are totally fine. And that is why we're so big on them, because there's going to be seasons in life where we're just going to maintain, where we're not going to track, where we're just going to rely on habits. You know what I mean? Alrighty. That is it for today's Q&A. We'll do this a lot more. Thank you, Lynn, for joining us. And thanks to our listeners. Of course, let's do it again. We got to do a better job of doing more stuff together. So we'll put this out there. We're going to do more Q&As. So thanks, Lynn, and we'll talk soon. 100%.
Bye.
See you.